Hi friends, thanks for joining me for another Assemble This video. Today we're creating a stunning birthday card with a dreamy pink galaxy background with some fun, simple techniques to make that sentiment and your card shine. I'll be featuring some Unity Stamp Company stamps and dies today, so stick around and let's assemble this card. Let's start out by creating that background. And really, we just need a few inks for this technique. We're going to do lots of ink blending. So I'm starting out with worn lipstick and getting a blob of pink in the center. Really, your shape could be anything, whatever your heart desires. I was just kind of thinking of like the Milky Way or a galaxy or some Aurora Borealis lights, and so I just created blob pink in the center. And as you can see, I'm going over that blend multiple times to build up the vibrancy of that pink. Next, I'm going to extend the blend using some salvage patina and creating a border around the pink ink blending. Since this color is really light, it does take a lot of layers of blending ink, just layer after layer. And then also these little mini ink cubes are harder to pick up ink. There's not as much of a surface area, so it does take more blending and rubbing to get that ink transferred onto the paper. I'm doing a quick layer right now. We will be repeating all these layers. You want to make sure that you give time for the ink to kind of blend into the paper and extend. So this is a quick blend. It doesn't have to be perfect the first go around. Up next, this is Stormy Sky, and I'm just again extending that ink blend all the way out to the edge of the paper this time. This is going to be a nice, deep, rich, dark night sky. So this is going to be the bottom layer for our next color to kind of build off of. And while I'm blending, we might as well talk about paper. I am using Bristol Smooth paper today. My other favorite and the one that I use most often would be either Hammermill paper or Nina. Both of those have a nice smooth surface that makes ink blending really easy. With this Bristol, the inks are really soaking into the paper, so I am doing a lot more work to get those inks to build up, but they blend beautifully. So there's kind of a trade-off. Otherwise, I do prefer Hammermill paper best. That's usually what I grab first. And now we're just doing our last deepest, darkest blue. This is Uncharted Mariner. And I'm going around the edge of the card and getting a nice deep base of that blue. Perfect. So once I'm done with my first layer, I'm just going to come back in and repeat all of those colors and blend again. I will overlap them a little bit more this time so they will blend together and then really build up the vibrancy of those layers. And last, to kind of really make this feel like a nice deep dark sky, I'm going to use some black soot just around the edge, very edge of the card and at the bottom to really deepen up that blue. Let's add some stars to our galaxy sky. Just going to take a water bottle and use the spray tip to splatter my card front with water. I let that sit for a little bit and then I come in with a baby wipe and just pick up that ink. You don't want to rub, you want to do a dabbing motion, otherwise you'll spread your ink blend and spread that water and you'll be sad. And here is a look at the final pink galaxy ink blend with those fun water splatter stars. Next, we just have to do some stamping. This is the Many Blessings Grove stamp set from Unity Stamp Company. I'm just going to stamp that at the bottom using some VersaFine Clear Nocturne ink. And I'm using my Misty just in case I have to do repeat stamping like that. And I'm doing a couple layers because I want it to be nice and dark, like it's a silhouette against that pink galaxy sky. That middle just needs some extra help. And then I stamped my sentiment from the Many More Birthdays sentiment right in the center using the same ink. I just really like how this is a very simple card. We did a lot of work in that background and I didn't want to cover it up too much, but I still wanted to make the card special. So I did some simple stamping and then a couple other simple techniques. I'm going to add some clear embossing powder over the entire card. Now, if you set your background aside and let it dry, this probably won't work. It'll only emboss your stamping. which is not a bad thing. It would still be really pretty, but I really like the effect of putting embossing powder over our ink blend and over the stamped images. It really adds a lot of shine and texture to the front of the card. And people are really curious as to what it is. They just don't know what you did to make your card feel like that or look like that. It's just really unique. Something only like clear embossing powder can do. So I applied that over the entire front of the card, melted it with my heat tool, and then I'm going to grab the coordinating die for the Many More Birthdays stamp set, align that over my stamped sentiment, and then I'm going to run that through my die cut machine. I like to tape it down so it doesn't shift. I tend to have that problem when I use my die cut machine. So once it's cut, I'm gonna remove that and then just adhere my card front to a black card base. I did trim it down just a smidge so I have a nice border around our ink blended background. Just gonna adhere that flat to the card front here. I really like how easy this is going to mail as well, because there's not a lot of layers, there's not a lot of embellishments, there's no embellishments. It just has this really cool texture from that embossing powder. And then I'm gonna pop up the sentiment right in the center of the hole left from the die cut using some foam tape. And here is the final look at the card. I just really love that dreamy pink galaxy background that we worked so hard for, and the really cool texture from that clear embossing powder and that eclipse sentiment just adds the last final touch to make this card special. Check out the description below or on my blog at dollhouse-designs.com for the supplies I used for today's card. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope we can craft together again soon. Bye!